So what's up, people, and welcome to another episode of Comics, Animes, and Movies. So in today's episode, I would like to cover the comic series One Piece, or the anime series One Piece, or both. And I wanted to go over and start some discussions with regards to possible speculations and ideas that always came up in the back of my head. And although I'm not sure if they're ever relevant to the story, but always made me wonder. Now, please understand, these are just speculations and questions and ideas of my own, and so they really don't have any significance to the story, and they're just speculations, so please take everything with a grain of salt. Also, before we begin, I would like to do the disclaimer, spoiler alert. Since I will be talking about speculations of things that might happen in the future, I will be bringing up topics that have already occurred all the way up to the most recent chapters in the comic, which is chapter 921 at the date of this video. So if you haven't read to the most recent chapters, then I would suggest that you might want to turn off this video. And please watch at your own discretion in any case. So for today's episode, I would like to go over the character Nami, who of course is the navigator / rogue for the Mugiwara Pirate Crew. And the topic I wanted to cover is my thoughts on whether she will be getting the Kenbunshoku no Haki, also known as the Observation Haki, also known as the mantra in the comics and the anime, and whether she'll be getting that in the future chapters. And my feeling and my hope is that I hope she does get this. And this is based upon three areas of discussion. One is based upon the past capabilities that you've seen of all the Strawhat Pirate Crew who now have Observation Haki. The plot and the way it's moving right now, as well as her abilities with regards to fighting and infiltration, and how this power will be able to benefit her. So regarding the first topic of the Strawhat Pirate Crew that have Observation Haki and their past characteristics that indicated that they would eventually get this capability, they of course include Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp. And I will put Sanji in there as well, although he didn't formally show that he received this Haki power in the story. However, he has shown traits that he does have this capability. Of course, most recently being able to successfully dodge a sniping bullet that was aimed at him during the wedding ceremony between him and Pudding. However, I do put the other three characters, Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp, before Sanji just because of the fact that they were formally shown to have received Observation Haki in the story itself. Of course, we know from Luffy's sake that he was formally trained in Observation Haki by Silver Raleigh. Zoro was formally shown to have Observation Haki during the time he was looking for Pika during their battle, and of course that legendary incident where Usopp was able to successfully snipe Sugar from a seriously long distance, thus saving Luffy and Trafalgar Law from her attack. And so yeah, within the story themselves, those three characters have formally shown that they received Observation Haki. In Sanji's case, it's just implied at this time. However, all four characters do have a similar trait, and you understand why they received Observation Haki if you look at their past incidents. And if you look at it, you notice that all four characters seem to have some very unusual, intuitive, and sensitive capabilities that go beyond the five senses. Now, this is very interesting to say because if you look at Luffy, yeah, he's a very dense character who sometimes can't figure out what's going on. And Zoro, no matter how much Observation Haki he has, can't seem to navigate himself out of a wet paper bag. However, they have in the past shown that all four of them have some very strong senses that go beyond what typical characters have. And so I'll go over each one. So in the case of Luffy, some examples of his high senses were his ability to understand the Sea Kings during the Fishman Island arc, the ability to understand Zou when he was there with Momonosuke, the ability to identify which one was the real Mr. 3 amongst all his clones and kick him in the face, and when Mr. 3 asked him how he was able to do that, Luffy just answered instinct. And finally, the ability to successfully choose the right apple that was offered by Doc Q during the arc leading up to the Skypiea arc. Now, equally for Zoro, probably the most obvious one was during the fight with Mr. One. And during that time, he recalled what his instructor told him, which was a good swordsman is able to not cut anything, but at the same time be able to cut steel. And what he meant by that is if your senses are so strong that you're in synchronization with everything around you, then you could wield a very sharp sword and still be able to avoid cutting anything around you. But if you needed to, you could cut steel. And of course, Zoro was successfully able to get to that point, and because of that, he was able to defeat Mr. One. Now for Usopp, it's probably the most evident because he is a sniper and he has shown some incredible sniping skills, especially during the time at Enies Lobby. And so even before he had the Observation Haki, he already showed that he has some incredible senses to be able to successfully snipe targets from seriously long distances. In addition, Usopp was the only one who was able to successfully sense and identify the Going Merry as a Nakama rather than just a ship by sensing its spirit. And because of that, he was the only one who really adamantly defended the ship's life, and because of that was able to create a situation where the Straw Hats were able to escape from Enies Lobby without getting killed. As for Sanji, of course, he has shown many characteristics and traits as we talked about, and of course his fine senses during his cooking has made him one of the best chefs in the comic series. In addition, Luffy did mention that Sanji did have Haki capabilities in Punk Hazard, although you weren't really sure whether he meant Observation Haki, Armament Haki, or both. But in any case, there is a good probability that Sanji also has Observation Haki. And so yeah, all of these characters have shown that they have some very heightened sense capabilities during certain times, and that has possibly been a foreshadowing of their ability to get Observation Haki currently. And so now if you look at Nami, Nami falls into exactly the same sort of characteristic. I mean, she is the navigator, and because of that, she has to be aware of the things that are going around her when she is on the ship. And she has shown extraordinary navigational capabilities. First, of course, by being able to get away from and steer the Going Merry away from a massive typhoon that suddenly appeared during a time when she was actually sick. And it was Vivi who said, my God, how strong is Navi's intuitive capabilities to be able to detect this storm coming. Another time was, of course, when she was able to successfully steer the broken down Going Merry, all around the attacking marine ships during the final parts of Enies Lobby, which the Marines were like, why can't we hit that ship? And it's mostly because of Nami's intuitive capabilities. So if you look at it, Nami has some severely high intuition and sensitivity capabilities, possibly the highest amongst the crew prior to the Observation Haki, coming online for some of these characters. So I am hoping that because she has such heightened awareness in the past, that she will be perfect for being able to receive Observation Haki in the future. Now, the next reason why I feel that Nami should be receiving Observation Haki in the future is the recent plot advancement that we're seeing in the Wano arc. And in that arc, we're noticing, or we see that in the recent chapters, that Nami is assigned to become a ninja, Kunoichi. And so, yeah, if this is going to be the case, the most likely purpose for that is for her to either infiltrate Lord Orochi's lair or Kaido's lair. Either way, it's going to be difficult because probably both of them are going to have some pretty strong generals that have Observation Haki of their own. And so for Nami to be able to infiltrate successfully into either of those lairs, then she's going to have very strong Observation Haki of her own, or else she's going to be severely handicapped. And the final reason why I feel that Nami should be receiving observation haki in the future is because she really needs it to enhance her fighting skills. Yeah, everybody knows that Nami is not the fighter. She's one of the weak three along with Chopper and Usopp. And her value in most of the battles is how she uses her mind. You know, she's the strategizer, and she often comes up with some very interesting crafty tactics that get the Straw Hats out of trouble. She, along with Usopp and Robin, are often the strategizers, and most recently maybe Bropper. But the problem is that I think the Straw Hats are getting into some seriously powerful enemies as we go along. I mean, there was a significant jump between Punk Hazard and Dressrosa when they went up previously in Punk Hazard against people like Virgo and Caesar to having to go against Don Flamingo. And when we thought that Don Flamingo was all that powerful, we find out that in the next arc, the Whole Cake Island arc, yeah, he doesn't even hold a candle to Big Mom. And in fact, you know, even Big Mom's general, Katakuri, is probably more powerful than Don Flamingo himself in that Luffy had to actually improve his fighting skills while fighting Katakuri to be able to defeat him. And in the end, he really didn't defeat him. He just basically outlasted him. And so, yeah, these are the types of enemies that they're coming into. And we already see in the Wano arc that, yeah, Kaido is a beast. He is a beast. He just one-shot Luffy. And so, yeah, this is going to be a problem if Nami doesn't get her fighting skills up. Now, Nami isn't a bad fighter. She has improved over time, and we could see that. Although she doesn't fight too often, when she does, she shows that she has improved. The most recent fight she had was with Cracker, and although, you know, she didn't stand a chance against Cracker, and Cracker was just toying with her, and we gotta understand, Cracker is a really high bounty pirate. I mean, he was higher than Luffy was right before the Whole Cake Island arc, and it took Luffy's entire Gear 4 up to Gear 4 to be able to defeat Cracker. And so this is enemy that's not to be joked around. And yeah, I mean, considering the fact that Nami, although she was defeated and relatively simply defeated, she wasn't one shot. I mean, she literally was able to dodge Cracker's attacks, although probably, again, Cracker wasn't attacking at full force. But, you know, if it was any other soldier, yeah, even that attack would have been enough to take him out. So, yeah, the ability for Nami to be able to dodge those attacks, again, indicates that she has sensory perception beyond normal, because, you know, her fighting skills probably aren't that high, but it's probably because she has such strong sensory skills that she was able to dodge Cracker's attacks. And yeah, I mean, recently, if I was to say how strong Nami was, I would say that she may be around pre-time skip Tashigi level, maybe around post-time skip Tashigi level, minus Tashigi's capabilities to use armament haki. And so, yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, she was able to wield her Gleam attack pretty well in a lot of occasions, and I think she's not a bad fighter. But once again, that's not good enough for the chapters that I feel are coming up, and she's going to have to up her game seriously high. Now, the reason why I feel Observation Haki is more appropriate than Armament Haki is, once again, she has heightened sensory perception, but she doesn't have superhuman strength. You know, if there's anybody who is most appropriate for armament haki, it will be somebody like Robin, because of the fact that if she could, put armament haki on all her limbs that she could create, she would be a serious force to be reckoned with. But in Nami's case, she's never shown that she had superhuman strength or even strong strength, typical strength of a really strong normal human being. So armament haki is not really the most appropriate. However, again, she doesn't really need armament haki And that is because of the most recent weapon that she's received, which is the most advanced clean attack from Usopp. And this is the perfect weapon for her, not only because of the fact that she could wipe out large amounts of enemies, you now using Zeus and the Clean Attack's advanced weather capabilities. But the problem with her fighting was that although she could take out huge numbers of enemies with her weather capabilities, she was not really the strongest when it came to one-on-one, because she couldn't really utilize her weather capabilities all that much. It took time for it to set up, and she often didn't have that time when she was in a one-on-one. However, the other power that the Clean Attack has, its ability to elongate to whatever length it needs, all the way up to seriously long lengths. And it does that in a really fast speed. And so one of the problems that Nami has is, of course, she doesn't have the strength to be able to swing that Clean Attack with a significant amount of force. But if she was only to defend herself, then the Clean Attack turns out to be really useful, because of the fact that if she had Observation Haki, she could command the Clean Attack to extend to the exact length that she needs. She would only have to change the angle of her wrist, and she would be able to block any attack that comes at her. And so, the Clean Attack turns out to be really useful, because she doesn't need to use her muscles to be able to defend against attacks. She just has to be able to control the Clean Attack's length. And the Clean Attack, of course, now is something similar to what the legendary Sun Wukong had in the Chinese legend Journey to the West, in that it could extend to really long lengths. And the other thing that turns out to be really useful is, of course, because it can extend to really long lengths, if she had the ability to use her Mirage Temple, or if she was hiding in the shadows using her ninja skills, she would be able to pick off enemies one by one, similar to Usopp, by extending and striking the enemy using the Clean Attack's really fast extension capabilities. But to be able to do that, and to be able to see where the enemy is behind walls and whatever, she would need her Observation Haki to be able to see and target where the enemy is. So if she was able to obtain Observation Haki, she would become a seriously strong fighter by being able to take advantage of all the things that the Clean Attack can do, and use it for both the offensive and defensive capabilities. Anyway, that is what I wanted to talk about in this video, and thank you very much for listening. If you have any comments with regards to this, I would really like to hear your opinion with regards to this. But I am looking forward to Nami receiving Observation Haki. I think that will take her to another level, and that will be necessary considering the enemy are becoming seriously more powerful. In any case, I'm gonna make some more One Piece videos in the future. I hope you join us at that time. And until then, thank you very much. Happy comic book reading, happy anime watching, and as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.